Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter, the best-selling author of In Trump We Trust and many other great books. Ann, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you, Howie.
And maybe I missed it. I just was talking about this. I guess reporters are chasing Chuck Schumer around New York and Washington, asking him if he thinks that Robert Menendez should resign from the United States Senate.
Or asking about his longtime aide, the man who took his seat, Anthony Weiner, who just about a week ago was sentenced to federal prison on sex charges.
Yes, that's
no, I don't think
he can hear us on one of four different stations. And he's in my listening area here.
You lucky man.
I know.
Actually, I guess he's the lucky one.
Welcome to Massachusetts, Carlos. But isn't it amazing, the double standard here? And all these Republicans are falling all over one another. There was a story in my paper today, and Mitt Romney wants Roy Moore to drop out of the race. But when a Massachusetts congressional candidate a few years ago was accused of basically standing, that was all made up.
Well, if we're going to start talking about what weasels establishment Republicans are, we're going to be here all day, Howie. I think we have to deal with making lemonade from lemons. And instead of the deal they're proposing, I don't know if your listeners, I guess they know this, there's now another woman who has stepped forward and said when she was 14, Roy Moore molested her. Now, whether or not it's true, I mean, there were all those women who came out against Trump at the end. Roy Moore is no Donald Trump. We need to save this Senate seat. It's Alabama, for Pete's sake. So what they're reporting on the news right now is that Trump would propose that Sessions stand in for Roy Moore. Sessions is very popular, and I think that's not such a good idea. I think it should be Mo Brooks.
Sessions said he's not interested. He just it was just on one of the cable networks.
Well,
he's not interested.
That's why. Didn't know that, but knew it wasn't a good idea because it's humiliating to Sessions. It's obvious that Trump is trying to move him out. By contrast, Mo Brooks, the candidate I endorsed and repeatedly campaigned for, was a congressman who's been reelected in Alabama. He's younger. He's fantastic on the issue you and I care about, and he's respectable. You're not getting any problems. Establishment shouldn't mind him. He'll campaign energetically. He'll hold the seat. Everybody gives up something. McConnell doesn't get some establishmentarian weenie, though Mo Brooks isn't, a wild-eyed right-winger like even a Steve Bannon. No, he was a respected congressman up until he ran for Senate this year. Roy Moore, and he has to agree, Republicans are going to stop attacking Roy Moore. Roy Moore steps aside, and he's not going to be replaced by someone that would be a humiliation to him, like Luther Strange.
But the thing is,
I'm happy, you're happy.
Yeah, but
and really,
Mitch
Trump gives up nothing.
But Mitch McConnell is not happy because he hates Mo Brooks for the very reasons that you outlined.
I'm sorry. Does he want to stay Senate Majority Leader? Like I said, everybody's going to give something up. Mo Brooks is a respectable individual. Trump doesn't give up much if he wants to get rid of Sessions. And footnote, Sessions isn't the problem. Rod Rosenstein is. If he wants to get rid of Sessions, there are a lot of different positions he can move him to. And also, he's not going to humiliate Sessions that way. It doesn't.
Ann, are you saying that Roy Moore should step aside? Because I'm looking for a headline now on Breitbart. I shouldn't have reminded you of that. Now you're going to walk it back.
No. I'm not going to walk anything back. When have I ever done that? I speak what I think is true, and what I think is true is what I've just laid out to you. I think that is why it has to be Mo Brooks. Mo Brooks never attacked Roy Moore. It isn't a slap in the face to him. It's saying we need to keep this Senate seat. We're going to, instead of you, we're not going to run Luther Strange. We're not going to run somebody McConnell wants. We're going to run someone who is similar to you but has already been elected to the House. And by the way, who Breitbart and Ann Coulter preferred, but maybe we won't mention that to you. I think Roy Moore is happy. It's someone who is the more conservative candidate. And by the way, we have a little bit of a Todd Aiken situation here, only in this sense. Roy Moore was the guy the Democrats wanted to run against. They were running ads against Roy Moore. Mo Brooks couldn't get any traction. in the media because the Democrats weren't attacking him. Why? Because they don't want to run against him.
Right, and he'd never run statewide either. That was another one of his drawbacks. He was a congressman. He was like running 1/5 of the state. By the way, when Ann's referring to Todd Akin, she's talking about the Missouri congressman who was defeated by Claire McCaskill. That was an eminently winnable seat, but then he said something incredibly stupid. He said, if you get raped, you can't get pregnant.
And it's a legitimate rape. No, that was the great part, using the word legitimate within 5 miles of rape. And the worst thing was, and the reason I say it's similar in that sense, Claire McCaskill specifically wanted, there were two other fantastic candidates. One was endorsed by National Right to Life. One was endorsed by Phyllis Schlafly. They were normal. They didn't say stupid things. But Claire McCaskill didn't want to run against the good candidates. She wanted to run against Todd Akin. So they did all of their ads against Akin. Oh, this is the conservative one. Well, being a conservative state, Republicans went out and voted for the one that they had learned from Claire McCaskill's ad was the most conservative candidate. He wasn't. He was the worst spoken, and he should have withdrawn after making that dumb remark. You don't have an entitlement to a Senate seat that you've never held before. You just barely slipped through. And I would say the same thing for Roy Moore. He's got to do the honorable thing. Mitch McConnell has got to do the honorable thing. Trump has got to do the honorable thing. It is a win-win-win all around for Trump to come home and say we're going to replace Roy Moore with Mo Brooks.
I got my Breitbart headline. Coulter, Roy Moore must step aside.
For Mo Brooks.
Okay. All right. That's it. That's all. Okay. Hey.
No, it's idiotic with the first part. That's like how, the New York Times would report something, Howie. Come on.
All right, I got another nice headline for you. Tewksbury trio charged in big fentanyl bust.
A trio.
Tewksbury. They're from Tewksbury. They're from Tewksbury. And yet one of the Tewksbury men, a guy named Wilson Soto, he's been charged with identity fraud and possessing a false registry of motor vehicles documents. How often are Tewksbury men found with false driver's licenses? Yeah.
So go on.
It turns out both of them are illegal. And Christina Richardson, Tewksbury woman, she's also an imposter, as we say up here. These are Dominicans, and they won't describe them as Dominican illegal alien drug dealers. Again,
this is why we want Mo Brooks. He's fantastic on immigration. He's Stephen Miller on immigration. He's Jeff Sessions on immigration. And look him up. He's an attractive man. He's well-spoken. There's a reason, I and Laura Ingraham and a million other people endorsed him.
I know. I heard him on. I've heard him on Laura's show. I think he was on Mark Levin's show as well. I understand.
Yeah.
I got another.
I think Levin endorsed him too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, this is the guy we want.
Okay, here's another one for you, Ann, another headline. Manchester man charged with criminal threatening following report of shots fired. Manchester man. They don't even tell you that what he's, other than the standard crimes. But you know what his name is?
John Smith. No. William Peterson. How many guesses do I get?
Del Duca Bullen. That's capital D-E-L, capital D-U-K-U. That's one word. Del Duca Bullen. He's a Manchester man.
One of the things that annoys me about all these illegal alien, or legal alien, what am I talking about, immigrant crimes is it's hard to remember the name. So, a year later do you know the name Kate Steinle's killer? You can never remember the names. Or worse, better, this only happened 2 weeks ago. The terrorists who mowed down the pedestrians and bicyclists in New York during the World Series. What was it? I couldn't pronounce it at the time. Looking at it, I couldn't pronounce it. And that's how
that's right, Safulo. I called him Sword of Allah because that's what it meant in his Central Asian dialect. Sword of Allah.
It helps the media hide these cases that it's very difficult for us to remember the names.
Yeah. No, it is.
The media sure isn't going to remind us.
I've got a whole list of things. Have I sent you that list of things from New Hampshire about all these people that like there's a Congolese that attacked a 27 week pregnant woman, pulled her hair, beat her up, and they said he couldn't stand trial because of his quote unquote cultural incompetence. You like that?
I'm glad we're bringing in immigrants with cultural incompetence.
Cultural incompetence. Yeah, and then the Burma, they're having this problem there, with the Muslims and I think the Buddhists. And so we have some Muslims now from Burma that are living in New Hampshire. And one of them, and you're going to be shocked to learn this from the third world, has been now charged with touching 7 and 11 and 12-year-olds. But the media doesn't seem nearly as interested in the Muslim refugee from Burma touching 7-year-olds as they are in Roy Moore allegedly touching a 16-year-old.
To be fair, neither does our commander-in-chief.
What do you mean?
He doesn't seem particularly interested in either. I mean, how long can we keep having these radio interviews where we make fun of the immigrants being brought in? The media is lying about it, but what's the Trump administration doing about it? Why are we still bringing them in?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. I mean, I think they are getting rid of more of them than the Obama administration was, and I know that's thin gruel. It's
and this dreamer business. For Pete's sake, Howie, we elected this man not so he could, make Japan great again, make Syria great again, make China great again. It was to make America great again.
Yeah. Well, you saw the dreamer is claiming he's been discriminated against. That you have to sign an agreement when you become a dreamer. Apparently, you say if I leave the country, then the dreamer status is it's voided, right?
Right.
They all know that. And so this guy goes down to Mexico, and then he comes back in, and they say, hey, you left the country. The agreement's void. You're an illegal alien. Get the hell out of here. And, of course, now he's claiming he's being discriminated against, Dan. How dare they expect him to obey the law? The guy's 25 years old. He's never obeyed the law once in his life. Why should he be expected to obey now?
No, that is the position of dreamers. They broke the law, and now they're quite impatient that we are not rewarding them for that.
I don't know, Ann. I still, though, Donald Trump is still better than Hillary Clinton, is he not?
As I said a few months ago, it's looking like that's going to be his campaign slogan for 2020. At least I'm not Hillary. I was hoping for a little bit more, like a wall. That is going to be the one thing that's too bad if Roy Moore, as I hope he does, steps aside for the great Mo Brooks. It would have been fantastic if he could get elected just because we think he'll vote for the wall. Yeah, we don't care. We don't care. Gianforte out in Montana, he decked a reporter. We don't care. He's for the wall. Donald Trump, zero experience in government, this wild reality TV star. We don't care. Just vote for a wall. At some point, perhaps the message will get through to the GOP, and I would hope the Democrats, too. Americans want a wall and a whole lot less immigration.
Amen. And I want a lot fewer Tewksbury trios and Manchester men. All right. Ann Coulter, author of In Trump We Trust. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you next week. I'm Howie Carr.